Hello friends, Susan here. I am going to show you a quick and easy card today, and this card is made with some stamp sets that are getting to retire. They were two of my very favorites when it comes to humor. I think they're just hilarious. Young at Heart and Thanks for the Laughs. So I'm going to use images from both of them, and they do coordinate together. I just think they're fantastic. There are so many fun sentiments in here. So fun. Talking to you is sometimes all the therapy I need. Our talks are priceless. Or no one will ever be as entertained by us as us. I think that was one of my favorites. Absolutely. And I'm going to do another card with that one, I believe, tomorrow for you. Okay, so these are the stamp sets I'm using. And this is the adorable card that we're going to make. It's really sweet and easy to do. And we are going to focus on some designer series paper. I love using designer series paper when I make my cards. Absolutely love it. Because you can take a plain piece of cardstock and turn it into instant wow when you use designer paper. This adorable side is actually the flip side of the one we're going to be using. I know, it's really hard to cover them up. But this is all from the package of Best Dressed designer series paper. Again, they are all retiring. But look at all these adorable patterns. I don't even know if you can see them all without it getting really blurry on the screen, maybe. And then their flip side. One is more gorgeous than the next. Look at those flowers. The colors just, they scream spring and summer. And they scream women. Check out the purses and the makeup. And then you've got some simple backgrounds like this, which is what we're going to use today. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I'm using lovely lipstick cardstock, and I have cut this one at 11 by 4 1/4. So we have done the opposite. The cards previously I've done have been 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and we scored at 4 1/4. Well, this we did the reverse. It's 4 1/4 by 11 1/2 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So again, I'm going to fold into the mountain and get out my bone folder. Now, when you use your bone folder, if you kind of keep it down on the surface and you see where this part bends, if you keep this part on the cardstock and don't drag this actually along it, it will prevent you from getting that lovely shiny line that we get if we're not careful. When we drag it and the whole thing hits the cardstock, it creates that shiny line. But you see when I do it like this, the only place I'm making contact is right on the score line. So there's a little tip for you if that shiny line bugs you, and I know little things bug me all the time. So this is the side that we're going to use. Love this. Now this paper comes 6 by 6, okay, just as you see it. And to create what I have done here today, I have my envelope walked away. Oh, sad. Hopefully I'll get it here in a second. Okay, so I cut it at 4 1/4, and then I sliced the bottom off at 5 1/4. And that left me a strip here and a strip here. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with those in just a second. I'm going to try to grab that envelope. Figure out where it went. I got it. Sorry, it was underneath the next project. So we are going to use all of those little pieces to make this card. Sorry about that. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to use my go-to favorite adhesive, which is Liquid Tombow. And there are multiple reasons for that. It's very economical, and it holds beautifully. Yet I have wiggle room when I put it on there, so that if I don't get it straight, I can still move it. It is gorgeous out today. You would swear it was summer, and it's suddenly the 1st of May. We went from weird winter to summer, just like that. Okay, I'm going to move that out of the way, and I am going to get my cardstock. Now, I went ahead and die cut these, and I used these Stitched So Sweetly dies. These are the two that I used. They give you a stitch and a scallop, and these are all the other dies that come with it. Now, this was introduced in our mini catalog this spring, and it will be returning with the annual catalog. Everything else I'm using today is retiring, but that will be returning. Okay, so we are going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink And the reason for that is because we're going to color with alcohol markers. And anytime you color with alcohol markers, you need to use an ink that isn't going to create a bleed situation for you. And that's what this ink does. It works for alcohol. All right, let's see if I can stamp my friends on here. They're so pretty. Right, and then I'm going to put my sentiment underneath it. Apparently I've got ink everywhere. I don't know how that happens to me all the time. Okay, so I want to make sure I get everything inked up. So what I do is I tap it in the ink, and then I always check. Does it look all shiny? Does it look even? Before I'm going to leave space underneath it for my bow. Oh, lovely. That's even better than my original sample. On my original, the W was a little pale. Okay, and this is the inside piece, so I'm just going to go ahead and color this now. Wow, that is really good. Good ink it up. I'm very pleased with that. Okay, now I'm going to use some of my Stampin' Blends markers. So we're going to use the light and dark Lovely Lipstick, because it's the same color as our background paper. The light and dark Granny Apple, because it's just one of my favorite greens. We've got light and dark Soft Suede, and light and dark Daffodil Delight. And then always you want a color lifter, always. That's like your permanent eraser, so you want to have that on hand at all times. Okay, so I'm going to start with her top. Okay, so hopefully I can do this and talk at the same time without making a mess. These markers are so easy to color with, just glides on like silk. And what you want to remember when you're doing this is you only want just the tip of that marker just to touch. And it works really well for me to kind of outline my image and then fill in. And I always turn the paper so that I can see what I'm doing, so that it's up in front of me instead of trying to make my hand fit the piece of cardstock. That never goes well. And you can see I don't have to be in any one specific spot when I start, because they blend so beautifully. It all just goes perfectly together. If you use water-based markers and you did this, you would be able to see lines in all these funky different directions. And I got a little outside the line. Oh good, I get to show you how the color lifter works. All right. So I'm going to take her down just a little because she does have a hint of a waist going on here. So I'm going to do that. And I kind of want it to be kind of raggedy on the edge. I don't want it necessarily to look like it's been cut straight across, just because it makes it a little more artistic. All right, I'm just going to put in a second coat on there just to darken it up a smidgen. Okay, that was the light. And now I'm going to take the dark, and I'm just going to kind of give some accents. I am not very good at artistic shading or things like that. So honestly, when I do a lot of artistic shading, it's because I have watched someone else do it and I've learned to copy them. Copying is good, especially when you're just getting started. Copying is a great way to learn to stamp. So I hope you copy what I'm doing here. And then eventually you're happy enough with it to call it your own and you get creative. All right, so I've just kind of messed around with her. Now I'm going to take my color lifter, and I like to use the fine tip. There are two tips, fine and brush tip, and you can tell which one it is because the brush tip has a wide mark and the fine tip has a skinny mark. So I'm just going to touch this where it went onto her hand. I'm not going to rub, and I'm not going to try to push it in like we used to be told. I get the best results if I just tap, 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 and then let it dry. And then I will come back to it in a little bit, and if the color hasn't completely lifted, I will do it again. If you keep doing this until you say, okay, I can't see any more color, you can saturate your paper with so much alcohol that it actually causes the color that's inside the line to start to bleed out. So that is something you don't want to do. All right. I'm going to do the other shirt. And there is a rhyme and reason to why I'm doing the parts I am. I'm leaving that blonde hair to last because for some reason, when I use yellow with Stampin' blends, it can kind of bleed. So if that ink isn't really good and dry, and granted it only takes a few seconds for it to dry in general, but I want to make sure it's set so that I don't have muddy hair, which, you know, I guess is a hair color. It could be muddy. There's no rule against it. No rule about a lot of things. That's the fun part about stamping, is that I always tell my customers there's no right or wrong, just different. Somebody will say, oh, I did it wrong. Mine doesn't look like yours. Well, it's not wrong. It's just different. Just different. And different is okay. All right, let's... A lot of times my hand really shakes when I'm doing this, so at least it's not too shaky today. I'm not quite sure where that is either. There. So all I'm doing is I'm just outlining sort of the edge and just trying to make it pop a little. Now, if you look at that, and once it dries, it takes a minute or so to all soak in, and you still say, oh, well, that's too bold. I don't want that dark line so sharp. Then you can just take your light, just kind of go over it and blend it in, and you can fix it. These markers are very forgiving. Very forgiving. Okay, let's see. Next, this is the hardest part. All right, I'm going to put a little lipstick on these girls. So I'm going to use the brush tip because it actually has a finer point. And I'm going to hold my breath that I don't smudge this up. Because this is the hardest part of the whole card. And yes, I'm afraid if I talk loud, I'll mess it up. Silly, I know, but... shoot, she got out of the lines a little bit. Okay, she's got kind of a clown mouth. Being a super bright color like this, I'm not too sure how fixing is going to go. But we can give her a shot. Maybe she was just messy with her lipstick. How many times do you look at Grandma and go, oh my gosh, let's clean that off your teeth. That doesn't belong there. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. I think it's cleaning up all right. Okay, it went over a little on the top lip, but I'm going to leave that alone. All right, I'm going to take the dark Granny Apple and do her headband because I forgot to do that earlier. And you don't want to get out of the line on that or you're going to have green hair. I did just a little bit up there. Hopefully it'll look normal. Okay, so I'm making her a blonde. And because I'm making her blonde, I'm going to try to clean that off a little bit. I don't know if you can hear it, but got the windows open because it's so nice out, and I can hear kids playing, and next door neighbor's got a little kiddie pool out for her grandkids. It's hard to believe it's that time of year already. All right, my tip is a little bit frayed and damaged, so I'm going to use the other end. And they get damaged because somebody colors with it and pushes too hard instead of just letting it brush the paper. It's a brush tip. Treat it like you would a paintbrush. Okay? And another reason they get like that is they get dry on the ends. So typically they tell you you're supposed to store them flat. I have found when my brush tip seems to be drying up, if I switch it like this and put it in a glass or something overnight, it re-inks itself up really nice. And I'm much happier with it. All right, I'm just going over her hair a little. And I'm going to put a little bit of dark in there because she's like seriously summery blonde here. These are my original Stampin' blends that I got. So it has held up pretty well. Because originally when I got them, I would wrap washi tape on them to designate mine from someone else's at a workshop. And now I have switched to writing my initials on the cap, so I can tell which ones are old and which ones are new. This is a new one. All right, so there's her hair. Let's do hair on the other lady. I'm actually sweating. I actually feel like summertime. I'm wearing shorts and a tank top. I guess I'm ready for summer to be here. I'm a little worried about whether the pools are going to open, though. Although businesses are starting to open on Monday, I'm not too sure what that means for the pool. That's a pretty intensely public space. Okay, I'm just giving her little wispies, just so, you know, our hair is never all one color. There's always some shadows and highlights, and so that's what I'm doing for her. Giving her a few shadows and highlights. And it always lightens up, so if you don't like it, you know, just let it dry for a minute or two, and then you can always come back and fix it. Okay, all I have left is skin. Oh, I didn't bring the skin marker. Sorry, I'm going to run away twice on you to get my skin. I was working on these last night and doing multiple different cards. So the result is, I didn't get all my stuff together right before I came over here. All right. Gonna do her bang in front of the headband. She's kind of got green hair now. I'm not sure I like green hair. Maybe she was in the pool already, a lot, and her blonde hair turned green. If it was the middle of the summer, I could definitely claim that. That would work. All right, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit, and I'm gonna just very lightly use my ivory color. I'm trying not to color in the whites of her eyes or the glasses. And if you want their skin to be really, really pale, you want to do this with this extra, extra light touch. And then sometimes you can even go back with your color lifter and lift a little more color off of her. Okay, but what I want to do with this lady is she has dark hair. So I'm going to assume she's going to have a little bit darker complexion than her blonde friend. So I'm going to go back over her a second time. Thought I would do a video like this so that we could talk about coloring with these markers. I know a lot of people are intimidated by them, but honestly, I was a terrible colorer. I just have trouble staying in the lines. But this has something to fix it. I've discovered if I go slow, I don't pop out of the lines so much. And the more I practice, the better I get. But I used to avoid line art stamps like the plague because I'm like, I can't color. And I never liked how things turned out with the Stampin' Right markers because it doesn't blend like these do. All right, so I think she's pretty good. I want to see if I can fill in that spot on her hair. She's going to have just kind of green hair. A little bit. She's just going to have kind of green hair. All right, there's her hair. Oh, there's a little bit there too. Okay, she's done. I still think her skin should be a little darker. What do you think? So I'm just going to go over it a little bit more. So she stands out from her friend. Otherwise, they just kind of blend together and turn into one lady. All right. Now, you know what I forgot to do? Was the inside of their mouth. Ooh, I should really use something lighter, but I didn't bring it over here. Yeah, there's no way I can do that darkness in there. Okay, I'm going to let the inside of the mouth go for now. When the video's over, I'll fill that in with a very, very light pink so that it doesn't look like a white cave inside their mouths. That's kind of icky. All right, but in general, I think they look pretty good. So I'm just going to stick this on here. Got a lot of glue in that corner. Sorry, I was a little close to the camera there. All right. Yeah, we're just, look at the difference that makes. One simple thing as layering onto another piece of cardstock just makes it pop incredibly. Okay, now, next thing I'm going to do is drop the ribbon, or the twine. I'm going to use some of this Whisper White Baker's twine. It is sadly retiring. I, for the life of me, can't explain why, so don't ask. But I'm going to just get an idea about how long I need it to be, and then snip it so that I don't waste too much. All right, I think I can do that. Now, a lot of people are really good at their bows, and they have figured out the trick for how to position them. I need this side to be just a little longer. I, however, have to tie them upside down in order for it to work. And I'm not too sure how this is going to go, but we're going to try it. All right, just like I was tying my shoe. Okay, that's too low. I want to scooch it up. It's kind of hard to scoot up because of these little scallops. They pretty much hold it right in place. All right, it'll work. It's a little looser than I would like, but I think it will work. Now, if I had done it right side up, my strings would have been that way. I don't know why, but I can't seem to do it the other way around. You have to roll backwards instead of forwards, and I don't do that very well, it seems. Okay. Where did my dimensional friends go? Oh, here they are. I covered them with the designer paper. Okay, so you may hear me say DSP frequently. It's not some weird code. It stands for Designer Series Paper. But if you said Designer Series Paper, Designer Series Paper, Designer Series Paper all day long, oh my gosh, what a tongue twister. So it's a lot easier to say DSP. All right, I'm giving this lots of pop. Again, I'm generous with my dimensionals. They're not very expensive, but they make a huge impact. So I just added 9 cents to the value of my card. All right, make sure we're right side up. I have, on occasion, gotten it upside down, and that's never good. All right, now we're going to do the inside. And that's actually going to be really easy, too. So for the inside, this, I told you I used that whole piece. This is what I trimmed off the bottom. So now this is going to go on here. And I am doing this in good faith that I am not going to mess up the stamping. Can't say for sure if that's how it'll work, but that's my plan. I'm using my grid paper to line it up and make sure that I'm even. Okay. And then I'm stamping inside. We've been friends for so long, I can't remember which one of us is the bad influence. I find that hilarious. And I'm going to send this to my friend, Kathy. We actually met in high school, sophomore year, because she was dating a boy that I had just broken up with, and I just wanted to see who she was and get to know her. And turns out she really wasn't all that interested in him, and like it was never even a first date. And we became the best of friends, which has lasted into our 50s. She's actually godmother for my oldest daughter. Look at that. Beautiful. I love it when it works. Yay. I'm always worried on camera it's not going to work quite right. I do want to make sure that's good and dry. So you'll see me kind of fanning it in the air sometimes, because there's nothing more frustrating than to have something be perfect and then swipe your hand over it and realize, oh, it was still wet. All right, so we're just going to pop that on the inside. All right, and then I thought, you know, well, what about a little bit of bling? It doesn't need a lot, but I thought these red rhinestones were just so pretty. Oh, shoot, I put it on straight. See, I intended to do it crooked, so they're different. I can pull it up and move it if I really want to, but I'm just going to leave it go. Yeah, I don't like where that looks now, though, do I? Gonna move it down. Looks better with the rhinestones when I put it on an angle, that is for sure. I'm tempted to see if I can pull it up. Would you like to see how I fix boo-boos? There's nothing wrong with it like this, but the rhinestones just don't seem to fit on there. I think I'd have to skip the rhinestones. But let's see if I can very gently. If it hasn't been stuck for very long, you can usually lift it with a gentle peeling motion. But you can't just like pull it straight up. It has to be kind of a peeling motion. Come on, please let go. Because if you don't do it carefully enough, it's going to tear your paper. If that would happen, I would just glue another piece of designer paper over the top. So I did get one that came off kind of wonky. Okay, so we won't use him. So this is how I clean them off. Look, it works so well. A little bit of rubbing and ta-da, you fixed it. All right, now I'm going to make it the way I want, because I really want that bling on there. I thought it was so cute with the bling. There. Now, that's how you fix it, oops. And there's usually one or two oopses every time you craft. It's just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Boy, I'm feeling like I need to turn the air conditioner on in here. It is seriously toasty. That one's got a little glue sticking out of it. Yes, I am picky. I am a nitpicky perfectionist. I am not going to lie. That's just who I am. What do you think? I think it's a darling card, especially for someone who is a dear friend. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button and hit the subscribe button. I would love to hear your comments. And please stay home and stay safe. Take some time and make a card and send someone a smile today. Bye.